Alrighty, we are officially live. 7 seconds in. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, just making sure everything is running smooth. Hello, and welcome to the first ever Chiefsman's Corner live show. I am your host, one of the commissioners of the WFL, Coach Winuvas of the New Orleans Saints. Chiefsman's Corner will be a weekly live podcast every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, as voted on by the owners, where we talk mostly news about the WFL, including surprise teams, players, and we'll have some recaps of user versus user games. Hopefully we have some listeners tuning in live or coming in here as the link gets up there. If you're here, welcome aboard and thank you for listening. You can comment in YouTube chat. I will not lie that the window for it is kind of small, so I'm going to be bouncing back and forth to try and keep up with comments if there are any to be had. And if I see any, I'll try and respond to them live on the show. If you're watching the recording of this after the fact, I do appreciate you watching this and listening to it. Thank you for watching. If you're watching it after the fact, we do appreciate any and all support. This is new for me. I usually, when I've done podcasts in the past, I've recorded them and distributed them out after they were recorded and edited. This is a live version. This is not my forte. So bear with me in this live format. This is not my primary job. I teach by day, so normally I don't do broadcasting. You may actually see or hear some of my cats in the background. I have a bunch of cats. Sorry, just part of life. Hopefully you enjoy the podcast. I definitely enjoy doing these types of things, and I'm going to enjoy doing it on a weekly basis. And hopefully you and I both get some entertainment out of it. With that being said, and the intro out of the way, I want to do some housekeeping notes. The first thing I want to talk about, since this is the first show, I want to talk about our incentive plan in the WFL. This plan allows you to get some perks that aren't available for every member simply by doing some extracurricular activities that involve the WFL. Anything from posting little nuggets on Twitter to articles on our Neon Sports site, which is our third-party site we use for stats and trade console, or commenting or participating in this show, because I do have an option for co-hosting if you choose to. There is a thing you can get rewards for. Anything that makes the WFL a more immersive experience for our owners and increases its presence in the Madden community can earn you some sort of credit. A link to the incentive plan is provided in the description of this video, so be sure to check that out. And you can also look at the incentive plan using our CouchBot commands. Speaking of the description in this video and CouchBot, please check out our YouTube channel. We have a WFL YouTube channel. It's called WFL Video HQ. It's where Chiefsman's Corner will be streaming from every Wednesday. We will effort to place every YouTube streamed game onto the platform, so you can go back and watch previous games of YouTube streamed games. Unfortunately, we cannot link Twitch games because they don't stay archived permanently like YouTube games do. We also have playlists around our rule book, so if the rule book is a little bit too meaty for you to read, or if there's some things you don't understand in the rule book, we do have a playlist that's basically what I call the video rule book. We have breakdowns of some more complex concepts, such as our 50% rule for signing players, contract lengths, running with integrity. So those are some things that we break down in detailed videos to kind of help you understand some of the concepts that are a little bit tougher to grasp, even just reading the rules, even if they're clearly written out. And this podcast. Every week this podcast will be added to a playlist, and you can subscribe to that playlist and listen on and catch up on previous episodes if you want to. If you would, I'd appreciate giving us a subscribe and a like on all our videos, just so we can get more presence in the Madden space. As far as CouchBot goes, CouchBot is our choice for announcing stream games from our members. Plus, we use custom commands to find links to rules and concepts we have in the WFL. You can look for all our CouchBot commands in a channel. It's called WFL-CB commands. there's a pinned message in there, and it shows you all the commands that are currently enabled in CouchBot, and that is updated as soon as we add any. So if you need to find out the latest and greatest in CouchBot commands, you can find them there. The nice thing about these commands is they do not require a special character. If you've ever messed with bots before, sometimes you have to put a special character in front to make it work and operate. Not so with CouchBot. With these commands, you can just type the command in any channel you have access to, and it'll deploy the command as it is typed in. So if you need some help finding certain things, or you just want to figure out what some of these commands are, feel free to use them as you see fit. They are there for your benefit, so in case a member of leadership is not around to answer your questions quickly, and it's something new we have in our CouchBot commands, please use those to find any extra information that you may be needing to help you figure out your way in the WFL. Now we got those housekeeping notes out of the way. I do have a few user versus user games from week 4 of the WFL. We are in week 4. We actually should have advanced an hour ago. I don't know if anybody did or not. If they haven't, I will advance after this podcast. So if you're watching for that, I'll check in on that. I see got a few guys waving and saying hello. Appreciate you tuning in. So it's a little hard to keep up with it because if you can see on the podcast, the bottom is where I've got to figure out a way to do that a little bit better. But that's the part of kind of learning on the fly here. The first game we're going to talk about in the week 4 action is the Bengals versus the Dolphins. Bengals moved to 3-1 with a 48-7 thrashing of the Dolphins, who come in or leave this game at 2-2 at 500. And the tale of the tape is one quarterback was very good and one quarterback was not so good. Joe Burrow for the Bengals went 10 of 12, only 99 yards. Didn't need to throw it very far, though, because he had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Unfortunately, Tua Tagovailoa, not so great for the Dolphins. 7 of 14, 111 yards and a touchdown, but 5 interceptions on the day. Joe Mixon ran roughshod, 14 carries, 122 yards. Chris Evans, as a spot runner, had 9 carries for 77 yards. And Samaj Perine for the Bengals had 5 carries for 17 yards. And the lone touchdown for the Bengals rushing. Receiving wise, wasn't a lot to be had in the air, but what was had. T. Higgins had 2 receptions for 20 yards and a touchdown. Zach Ertz had a single catch for 15 yards and a touchdown on the day. Drew Sample, the other tight end, had 1 single catch of 4 yards for the 3rd touchdown from Burrow on the day. Defensively, who didn't get interceptions? Jesse Bates got 2. Chidobe Awuzie, try saying that fast 3 times, had an interception. Anthony Barr, outside linebacker, had an interception. And Casey Hayward had an interception as well. 2 of those were pick sixes, so that kind of explains the huge score discrepancy there for the Bengals. The Bengals look like they dominated defensively, made some timely turnovers, turn them into points, and it's really hard to come back, especially with the All-Madden difficulty. Running the ball for the Dolphins, Kenneth Walker, solid rookie performance, 17 carries, 78 yards. Bo Scarborough in relief, the Alabama boy, 7 carries, 25 yards, no touchdowns on the day for any of those guys. The lone touchdown scored by Mike Gesicki, 2 receptions, 79 yards, a 68-yard long bomb for Gesicki. Gets the only touchdown on the board for the Dolphins as they fall to 2-2 early in the season. So there's a lot of time to make that up. But turning the ball over that much will definitely hurt you in the long run. Next game on the docket, Rams and Bills. Bills lose their first game of the season. They just got an owner week 2. 24-14 was the final over the now non-winless Rams. They are 1-3 on the season. Again, a tale of turnovers. Josh Allen for the Bills, 16 of 22, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions, whereas Stafford for the Rams, as you probably hear my cats playing in the background, 18 of 26, 248 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Excuse me. Darrell Henderson for the Rams, 14 carries, 86 yards, and the lone rushing touchdown for the Rams. For the Bills rushing attack, only 8 carries, 26 yards for Devin Singletary. Not a lot of running to be had by the Buffalo Bills in this one. This was a tale of the battle of tight ends. Dawson Knox for the Bills had 6 receptions for 103 yards to lead receiving for the Bills. And for the Rams receiving, Tyler Higbee had 7 catches for 86 yards and one of 2 Matt Stafford touchdowns. The other one going to a 36-yard touchdown to Van Jefferson at wide receiver. Cooper Kupp had 4 catches for 61 yards. And Darrell Henderson out of the backfield had 4 catches for 45 yards. Defensively, not a lot to be said here. Basically, no sacks for the Bills defensively, no interceptions. Rams defense had 2 sacks from Aaron Donald. He is a beast. Leonard Floyd had another sack to add up to 3 on the day of Josh Allen. 2 interceptions, one by Jalen Ramsey and one by Terrell Burgess, to help the Rams get their first win of the season, 24-14 over the Buffalo Bills. Next game on the docket, we have the 3-1 Bears now beating the 0-4 Philadelphia Eagles 31-14. Rough game. I caught part of this on Twitch the day it was streamed, and it looks like Coach Dunn is just struggling to find a good offensive playbook for his boys. Jalen Hurts was having a monster of a time trying to hit anything, and when he did hit stuff, it looked like his receivers were not helping him out to make plays. Jalen Hurts finishes off 9 of 24 for 154 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. The run game was very tough as well. I watched some of this game when it was streaming live. Miles Sanders, 12 carries, only 39 yards, did have a touchdown on the day, but just hard yards to gain for the Eagles. Not a lot of push up front from their offensive line. Receiving wise, Dallas Goedert led the team with 3 catches for 56 yards. Devontae Smith had a 54-yard bomb that maybe set up one of their touchdowns, maybe the running touchdown to Miles Sanders. Quez Watkins had 2 receptions for 19 yards and the only Jalen Hurts touchdown pass. Defensively, no sacks on the day from the Eagles defense. 1 interception from Avonte Maddox, which is on a really good cut-in route. It was a really good play where Maddox kind of anticipated the throw and jumped a route. For the Bears, I almost said for the Bills, Justin Fields, 16 of 29, 307 yards, 3 touchdowns to go with 1 interception. David Montgomery paced the running attack with 18 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown on the day. Receiving-wise, tight end Cole Kmet had 7 catches for 70 yards, but was not the leading yard getter. That would be tight end Grant Calcaterra, 2 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown on the day. The only other player to get a touchdown for the Bears in receiving, Jakeem Grant at wide receiver, a 29-yard reception for a touchdown. Bears defense, Robert Quinn had a sack, Linval Joseph at defensive tackle had a sack and a half, and Khalil Mack had half a sack, 3 sacks total on the day. Eddie Jackson at safety had 2 interceptions of Hurts to help that defense out. And that pretty much tells you, again, a lot of these games you can boil down to turnovers. If you turn the ball over in the WFL, if you turn it over in any professional league, you're going to have a hard time winning football games. But Coach Dunn, I feel confident he'll get that turned around. Next game on the docket, Buccaneers and Chiefs. Bucs moved to 500 on the year with a close 6-point victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, who fall to 0-4, a tough 0-4 to start the season. Patrick Mahomes, 25 of 46 for 334 yards, had 4 touchdowns on the day, but also turned the ball over 4 times in the air, whereas Sam Howell, the rookie out of North Carolina for the Buccaneers, goes 15 of 29, only 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, and more importantly, 0 interceptions. No turnovers means you've got a chance in the ball game. For the Chiefs, running the ball, Sincere McCormick, rookie, 16 carries, 75 yards. No touchdowns, though. No touchdowns for anyone in the rushing category. Receiving-wise, that's a different story for the Chiefs. Mecole Hardman had 6 for 127 and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill had 5 for 77 and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce had 7 for 105 and a touchdown. The 3 weapons that Chiefs have at their disposal were used to great lengths in this game. Unfortunately, they could not pull out a W. Even turning the ball over 4 times to come within 6 points is pretty impressive. Defensively for the Chiefs, they had 1 sack on the day from Derek Nadi. Unfortunately, no interceptions, as I said, of Sam Howell, so that's kind of the tail of the tape there. Not getting those picks, not getting those key turnovers really doomed the Chiefs in the long run. Again, I mentioned Sam Howell's stats. Saquon Barkley, the new addition from the New York Football Giants, 20 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown. Marlon Mack, his backfield mate, 10 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown on the day as well. So a nice two-headed attack there with Barkley and Mack. Receiving wise, Gronkowski had the most catches with 5 catches, but only 21 yards. Did have the one of 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley had the other one in the receiving game. Mike Evans had the most yards, 2 catches for 31. Overall, though, a fairly short dink and dunk style of attack it looks like, but it works to great effect here in getting the Bucs a 6-point victory. As a division mate, I hate to see that, unfortunately. Jadeveon Clowney had a sack on the day for the Bucs. Vita Vea had a sack as well. William Golston had a sack. Shaquille Barrett had a sack. 2 interceptions from Levante David at middle linebacker. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, 4. There's 4 interceptions total. Sean Murphy-Bunting had an interception. Devin White had an interception. And Ryan Neal had an interception on the day. And one of those was a pick 6. So that could have been the game sealer right there. Next game on the docket, the Giants moved to 3-1 with a 37-7 beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys, who go to 500 on the year. For the Cowboys, it looks like it doesn't matter who was behind center. It was a rough game for him. P.J. Walker looks like he started this game perhaps, or came in a long relief. 6 of 15, 87 yards, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Dak Prescott fared a little better. Went 5 of 8 for 73 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 6 interceptions, unfortunately, won't get it done in any league. And turning the ball over that much just hurts. In the running game, Tony Pollard for the Cowboys, 6 carries, 67 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 11 carries for 29 yards. Tony Pollard did have the lone touchdown for the Cowboys in this game. For receiving-wise, Michael Gallup, 2 catches for 35. Romeo Doubs, 3 for 36. CeeDee Lamb, 2 for 35. Unfortunately, not a lot to speak of in the receiving game. Just looks like the quarterbacks just had a rough time doing anything. And unfortunately, the defense didn't fare much better. The only thing I could say of note for the Dallas Cowboys defense is safeties Deshaun Elliott and Jaron Kearse led the team in tackles with 3, along with Micah Parsons. For the Giants, rookie Carson Strong is playing strong. 10 of 16, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions on the day. Rushing-wise, they don't miss Saquon Barkley, it looks like. Rashad White, 22 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown on the day. Tyler Badie, 8 carries for 47 yards. Receiving-wise, tight end Jeremy Ruckert led the team with 4 catches for 98 yards. Sterling Shepard had 2 receptions for 96 yards. Both of those players had a touchdown on the day. Kadarius Toney scores the 3rd touchdown from Carson Strong. Defensively, lots of interceptions to go around. Derek Stingley Jr., the rookie out of LSU, gets 1. Xavier McKinney gets 1. Adoree Jackson gets 2. Julian Love gets 1. And Darnay Holmes gets 1 as well. The 2 sacks on the day were registered by Jordan Phillips and Oshane Ximines, who is having a pretty solid season considering there at the outside linebacker position for New York. This is the last game on the docket. Excuse me. So we got the Packers moving to 500 with a 35-14 victory over the winless Lions. Malik Willis, who we'll talk about in a little bit, probably his roughest game to date as a pro. 29 of 43, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions on the day. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, 15 of 18, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rushing-wise, for the Packers, Aaron Jones, 14 carries, 70 yards. But A.J. Dillon was the main guy in goal line situations, probably 7 carries, 27 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day from A.J. Dillon. For the Lions rushing the ball, DeAndre Swift had 9 carries for 46 yards, and Jamal Williams, the former Packer, had 5 carries for 16 yards. Looks like the Lions had a rough time running the ball against that Packers front 3. Receiving-wise, though, Odell Beckham did not have any problems in this game. 8 catches, 132 yards, and a touchdown, looking like his old self. Quintez Cephas, 5 catches for 70 yards. The other touchdown thrown by Malik Willis was to T.J. Hawkinson, who had 4 catches for 41 yards on the day. Packers receiving-wise, a lot different of a group. Braxton Berrios leads the way with 5 catches for 83 yards. However, both touchdown passes from Aaron Rodgers went to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who had 3 catches for 49 yards on the day. Defensively for the Lions, no sacks, no interceptions, but Kazir White at middle linebacker and Marcus May led the team in tackles with 5. For the Packers defense, they had 3 sacks, 2 from Rashawn Gary at outside linebacker, and 1 from Kenny Clark at his interior defensive tackle spot, and then 2 interceptions from 5 total, Darnell Savage, Eric Stokes, Adrian Amos, and 2 from Bryce Hall. So that secondary was really ball-hawking Malik Willis in this game, and it proves to work out for him in a 35-14 dub. So that is it for Week 4 action. Let me see if I got any chat I need to respond to. Hello to everybody. I'll go ahead and say hello to all. Okay, there we go. So that does it for our Week 4 review games. And so I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about some surprises in the AFC and the NFC. It's still really early, but I do want to discuss a couple of teams that kind of got me on notice, at least at the point when I pulled up this information before we move on to Week 5, if we haven't moved on to Week 5 as I'm recording this. My first thing I want to mention, the AFC. My surprise team right now is the New England Patriots. As of the recording, they are 2-1. They have not yet played their Week 4 game. I don't know if they went CPU, sim, or what, but they are 2-1, which in a division where you don't have a lot at wide receiver. I know they drafted a guy, I believe. I believe they drafted Chris Olave, I think is who they drafted in the first round. But, Mac Jones, a young quarterback. That defense is getting a little older. To have that team early out of the gate, Rimster's got that team playing pretty well out of the gate in a tough AFC East. Ross is going to be tough there with the Dolphins. You've got the Bills' new owner, Tricky, is going to be a solid owner as well. And then the Jets is Kobe. I know he's having a rough spell of it right now, but having played him in another league, he is a tough customer. He's a tough nut to crack. And once he gets it figured out, that division is going to be a lot of fun. And the best part about it is at least 3 of the 4 owners are fans of their team. So that, to me, is always fun to watch, that interaction between owners that are playing as their favorite team. But that's kind of my surprise team early on in the AFC. In the NFC, it pains me because, I hate talking to anything good about the Falcons. But I have to talk good about the Falcons. The Falcons, as of this recording, are 3-0 with a CPU game to play if they played it tonight. They are leading the division, or tied for the lead in the division, with the Carolina Panthers. Both of them are at 3-0. Now, we just got a Panthers owner, but Studley has been in charge of the Falcons since week 1. And with an older Matt Ryan that's on the downslide of his career, he is making it happen as far as using Matt Ryan to his best, using Kyle Pitts as a mismatch nightmare. Calvin Ridley is a solid talent there as well. He burned me in our game that we played week 1 when he played my Saints. So just tip the cap to the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC. Right now, they're my surprise team just because of the fact that with an older quarterback and a team that's kind of in rebuild mode, he's got that team early out of the gate punching pretty well at 3-0. And lastly, before we get to questions, if we have any from the audience, I want to name some players from the AFC and NFC that, just want to kind of shout them out for their statistics so far. And they just so happen to be rookies. So that's not really going to be the way this segment's going to go, as far as just not rookie watch. But just so happens that the players I've kind of targeted were both rookies. And in the AFC, my player of the podcast, if you will, is Kenneth Walker from the Miami Dolphins. So far this season, he had a tough start of it in weeks 1 and 2. Total of 51 yards, if my math is correct. Yeah, 51 yards through 2 games. But against the Bills, he really found some teeth. 23 carries, 176 yards. And then in week 4 against the Bengals, even in that tough loss where the turnovers were just killer, Kenneth Walker still had him a game. I think Ross is figuring out the all-Madden running game at this point. And that kid out of Michigan State is a really, really good ball player, really special ball player. And Coach Ross likes to run the ball. I know that from being in another league with him. He likes those tough run-first type teams, and he definitely has that bell cow style back in Kenneth Walker. So I want to shout him out as my AFC player of the podcast. And for my NFC player of the podcast, in case you didn't catch my little hint whenever I talked about the Lions, it's going to be Malik Willis, the rookie quarterback, taken second overall, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, but looking at his attributes and looking at his play through 4 weeks, it shouldn't be a surprise, because through 4 weeks of the season, he's completed just a shade over 60% of his passes, and has been getting. He's been kind of inconsistent. He's been 53% in week 1, 57% in week 3, but in weeks 2 and 4, he was post 60% on completion percentage. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards already in 4 games and 6 touchdowns to go with 6 interceptions. And if you wipe that game against the Packers of 5 interceptions off the board, he'd be sitting at 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. So he's been really efficient with the ball, excepting the Packers game, which was kind of got out of hand, it looks like. But if you erase that from his memory bank and say, hey, look, that's just one game, he's sitting at 6-6 as far as touchdown interception ratio through 4 weeks. There's a lot of teams that would be quite happy to take a 6-6 after 4 weeks of play and almost 10,050 yards. So Malik Willis, for me, the second overall pick in this past draft out of Liberty, is my player of the podcast for the NFC. And with that, I will turn it over a little bit to questions. And look at that. Smash has already got me one on the board. How am I feeling about the league overall so far? To be truthful, which I always try to be, I really honestly expected us at this stage of the Madden cycle to be... Honestly, I figured we'd be about 16 to 20 owners tops. I figured we wouldn't get much more than what we started with when we launched this thing, just because of the fact that we were starting late cycle. But the recruitment that guys have done, the pushes that guys, one guy I'm going to call out on here positively is Rimster went out there and did some Reddit posting for us and grabbed us a bunch of owners. That activity we had a couple days ago where a bunch of owners jumped in. Some of them didn't stick, which is going to happen at this stage of the Madden cycle, because you're getting guys that are kind of just wanting to filter in and see what if they can do something, and if they can't do something, they're just going to leave. But hopefully we got a couple of guys that look like they'll be really good. The Steelers owner looks like he'll be solid. The Panthers owner, the new Panthers owner, is a fan, and he's been DMing me back and forth since he's joined, which is always a positive sign. So we're a lot better than I thought we would be at this point. We're doing pretty good, I feel like, but there's always room to improve. So that's kind of my answer. Is I like where we're at, but we still got room to move forward. So I guess that about does it for that question. If there's any other questions, though, I'll be glad to wait a minute or two. I don't like having dead air, so maybe I'll type something in chat while I wait. Any other questions? So, but the format that we did for this podcast will be pretty much the way it goes, unless I get a co-host. If I get a co-host, then we'll change the format up. But I'm hoping to keep these around no more than 40 minutes. So, because we all got lives. So, but hopefully this is kind of a streamlined process. I'll hopefully get a little quicker with it as we move forward, especially with stats. The stats ones, given the stats of the breakdowns of the user games is tough. Any disappointments? Not truthfully. I mean, I can't really say that I'm disappointed, like in anything. I mean, okay. There are a couple things. We did have, when we started, we got a draft glitch because I goofed up. So I accidentally paused the draft. I was trying to situate myself on my couch and hit the pause button, and I glitched the draft out. So anybody that was here for that draft, if you didn't get players you wanted, you can blame me. I'll take that. So that was a slight disappointment. And my team performance so far has been quite disappointing. I mean, I've lost both games I've usured badly. My quarterback play has been horrible. And I haven't been able to run the ball, and I haven't been able to pass the ball. But other than that, my offense is wonderful. But as far as like the league itself, I don't really have any disappointments. Like, I mean, everybody that's kind of tried to see our process has been, has been a worthy addition. The guys that have jumped in and jumped right back out again, I have no ill will towards them or anything, no disappointment. Just, it's just guys being guys. So, yeah, my play has been disappointing, and the draft glitching out because I accidentally hit the pause button, which is an EA thing. That's a bug in EA. So to be mad at myself for it is probably a waste of time. But I mean, that's the only disappointments I have at this stage. That's the only disappointments I have personally. So, but that was an interesting question. So didn't really specify. Just said any disappointments. Any changes you want to make? We are the leadership and myself we're hammering out some additions to the off-season regimen program. I feel like that's a nice thing that kind of differentiates us a little bit. We took that idea from another league and played with it to fit our style. Did I fill the WFL press positions yet? I've got 3 members in place. I would like to have, since we've added more members since I did that initial call out, I would like to add 2 more to the WFL Associated Press. Just to kind of clarify that question, essentially the WFL Associated Press, what you guys will do is you get your own little room, and at near the end of the season, so your role in the WFL not Players Association, but the Associated Press, you will essentially be voting on certain awards. But by voting on those awards, you basically help get players or get owners points that they can spend to improve those players. And that's in basically it overrules our the in-game awards that they give out. So essentially you'll vote for MVP, you'll vote for Rookie of the Year on offense and defense, and then I believe it's just Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year. And you'll also do an All-Pro team for the WFL. And we'll keep track of that. We have a record book that we'll keep track of. But that will be your main goal as the Associated Press, is at the end of the season you'll do all that heavy lifting to put all those stats together to basically hammer out some awards. And then once you guys do that, we'll award the points and all that good stuff, and then they'll be spendable in the off season. So if you're interested in that, please hit me up in chat or in DM, and we'll get you in. Okay. You thought you volunteered for that, did I? You volunteered, Smash. You volunteered. Let me see. At Smash, you volunteered for the PA. I meant to sign up with my laptop. Okay. Hate being on my phone. I can understand that. I hate doing things on my phone too. But Smash, just to kind of tack onto that, you can volunteer for the AP if you'd like. I don't recall you sending in anything, but I'm not going to say no. So, and also those the Associated Press is worth incentive points. So you do get incentive points if you actually participate in it at the end of the season. Okay, so just a heads up on that. Just if you're interested, shoot me a DM in Discord, and once I get situated outside of this stream, I can add some folks. But yeah, so that pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover. So yeah, I had work myself. Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to go to bed so I can go to work in the morning. But I hope that this becomes a common thing where, like, I can take some questions at the end, keep it short, keep it sweet, so we can kind of move on with life and all that good stuff. But this will be the format, like I said, unless I get a co-host. I was hoping not to ramble this much, but the interaction with you guys is something I can't really script, so I kind of got to take it as I go. But hopefully we can do this where I'll do some brief scripted stuff, I'll do some stat stuff, and as always, your feedback is important. So if you don't like certain segments, let me know so I can take them out, or I can figure out some other way to present them. If you like stuff, let me know so that way I can keep it in or try and keep it in. And also, this chat will be noted and saved. So if you did make comments or questions during this podcast, that does count for your incentive plan. So be sure to make sure you note any questions that was asked or any comments you made, because you'll have to keep track of that for end of year awards. But I will have this. I will try and make sure it's on the stream as well, so that way when you watch this back, you'll see it. Which you'll see it on my stream anyway, because it'll be in this little bitty window over here. Hard as heck to read because I need to figure out how to fix that. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it, or go ahead and go to the outro here. I really appreciate the few people that listened. I mean, tonight, I'm not sure exactly how many of you are listening. Looks like 4 or 5 of you. I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you making comments. That's always good. Hopefully, well, we will be back next Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll keep it short and sweet. Yeah, we got to get some recap images. Yeah, that would be something. That would be nice to work in later, to help me out, so I can show some pictures. I could have posted like the pages I was reading all the stats off of, but I felt like that would be like boring. So, but we'll play with the format definitely. It's definitely something that this was the format I did when I did Chiefsman's Corner the first time. So, and that was a recorded setup, so I'm not used to the live interaction part of it. So it's definitely something that if you guys want to change some stuff, work some stuff around, I'm open to feedback. So just let me know what works for you guys. And I'm going to call it a wrap on episode 1 of Chiefsman's Corner. Hopefully the first of many, many episodes of Chiefsman's Corner. I am one of the commissioners of the WFL, Coach Winuvas of the New Orleans Saints. And until next time, guys, I will catch you later.